Okay, and thanks for taking time out during your weekends. I really appreciate it, for taking time during weekends and listen to me. So I promise that this session is going to be an impactful session. And any questions, I know you might have a lot of questions during the session, so please reserve those questions towards the end of the session. So we will have Q&A towards the end of the session, and I'm happy to take those questions. And if I'm not sure, no, let me be very transparent with you. We'll go and do some research and come back to you. But I think we'll have Q&A towards the end of the session. So let me, no, it is not going to be a fully presentation. I don't want to just show you all the deck and then take you through. So we will go through a few of the slides and go through some of the conceptual, the security layers, and then we will jump onto Fabric and see the security layers in action also. So that's the core idea. So welcome to the session. We will start. So in this session, we are going to deep dive into OneLake security. So a few expectations to set before we even kickstart the session. So I assume you might have some knowledge, some foundational knowledge in Fabric. Okay, so what is OneLake? What is Fabric capacity? What is Workspace? So I hope you have some bit of knowledge, otherwise some beginner level of knowledge. So otherwise, maybe I can give you a brief about OneLake and then kickstart. Okay, so that will also help you, right? So, but I assume who are joining this session have a bit of knowledge about OneLake and Fabric foundational concepts. Then I think it will be easy to follow through the session. So that is one of the expectation I wanted to set even before kickstarting the session. And also, I think we are going to look at different security layers, specifically in Microsoft Fabric. So there are so the Workspace, you can think of it like a container. Okay, so we're going to look at three different security layers. From an enterprise organizational point of view, what are the different kind of layers that you can look at and then control the access to your platform. Okay, so analytics platform. So I think reserve your questions, as I mentioned, towards the end of the session, and I'll take those towards the end of the session. Okay, so you can drop those in the chat at the end of the session, and we'll have a quick Q&A at the end of the session. Okay, so that's a bit about the expectations. So let us move on. So a bit about me. Okay, a quick introduction about me, Sheik Mohamed. So I'm a Microsoft certified trainer, cloud data architect, and I'm the founder and CEO of Datavion Academy. So we have trained close to 500 plus students across India and Europe, and I'm currently an active MCT, Microsoft certified trainer, with 15 plus years of IT industry experience, and I'm an ex-TCS employee, so close to 15 years of experience, and I'm an expert in Fabric, Azure. We have built end-to-end solutions for customers and Power BI as well as real-time data modeling. And I think the core mission in Datavion Academy is to help you curious learners into confident professionals through structured real-world learning. So we wanted to bridge the gap between the theory and practice. So that's the core mission, what we are trying to solve here. So every content that we produce, every session we take you through, will definitely have hands-on after the conceptual walkthrough itself. Okay, so that's a bit about me. So let's move on quickly. So before even I jump on to the OneLake security overview, right? OneLake, you can, if you're not aware at this point, there might be beginners. I know some of the people from different roles, they are joining this session. So maybe beginners are also there, right? So maybe OneLake, you can think of it as in a layman terms, you can think of it as a OneDrive for organization. So it is going to be a one unified storage for the organization. So the data will not be moved out of your OneLake. So whatever data you want to bring into your organization from disparate sources, you can definitely bring it into OneLake through different mechanisms. So that we will look at, I think this is a part of the OneLake series. We are talking about security. So there are future videos in the next week's webinar. We will dive deep into the integration mechanisms between Lakehouse and Warehouse and topics like that. Okay, so OneLake is a unified data lake for Microsoft Fabric. So it all the compute engines you can think of like Spark, be it our Power BI, the Warehouse SQL engine. So all of the compute engines talk to one single unified data lake to extract the data and do the required kind of the downstream processes, and then so it is like it's going to be one lake, one single lake for the organization. You can think of it as a OneDrive for organization. And I think when talking about the security model, it spans across different layers. So we are going to look at three different layers, especially. It's going to be at the workspace level, then at the item level, and also at the folder table layers. Okay, so three different layers. So we will the third layer, which is currently in limited preview from Microsoft. So if you're already having a trial Fabric account, you may not be able to see that feature yet. So I'll show you, what I'm seeing in my Fabric account. If you're not able to see, you may probably, I will guide you to fill out a form to Microsoft to gain access to that feature as well. So that is an RBAC kind of a feature we are going to talk about. Okay. And that's what I'm talking about, the new limited preview, which is OneLake data access roles. It's the role-based access control for very fine-grained access control. That's the last or the fine-grained level of access that Microsoft has recently introduced, and it is not even in public preview at the moment. It is in limited preview, so we are going to look at that feature as well in the demo quickly. And I'll show you how exactly you can create the roles and then add data to it, how you can expose the data and bring in members or groups into it. So all of those we are going to look at in this video. Okay, so don't worry about it. And I think as a part of the OneLake data access roles in the third layer, we can also look at the row level security and column level security. Okay, so in OneLake, right? So that also we can see how how Microsoft is helping us to do that, because earlier in Power BI you can do that at the model level, right? So you can uh, do the RLS, CLS, stuff like that, and then get it secured. So there are some use cases you can think of, the row level security, right? So in case if you want to restrict your organizational data regional wise, you can do that. And I think column level security, obviously, if there are customer level data that you don't want to expose, you can apply column level security. But Microsoft is leveraging these capabilities right within the OneLake data access role security feature. So in the limited feature at the moment. So that we are going to look at and see how we can implement that as well, right? Yeah, and I think the Microsoft at the moment is focusing a lot on security architecture, okay, especially in Fabric, kind of a SaaS platform. So it is very important for an enterprise setting to make sure we have different security models and different security layers, and then provide the required access, which is the least privileged access to the users. And if I need to provide at the fine grain level, I can't provide at the workspace level, right? So that's what I'm mentioning. It needs to be at the least privilege level. So whatever required permissions that the user required, you need to provide only those permissions to the user, right? So you can't kind of enlarge the scope and expose the data. So that cannot be done. So that's why Microsoft wanted to make sure they're providing this different layers of security for you to enforce at different layers to secure your data in your organization. Okay, so I hope that's a bit of overview. It's clear. I hope it's clear, so we can move on further and jump on to different layers. Right. So where security fits in Fabric. So we will again quickly go through those three layers, and then we will jump onto every layer and talk about different roles that you can set, and then we can jump onto the Fabric portal itself, right? So Workspace, okay, so I think this is how the hierarchy goes, right? So in Fabric. So Workspace is the high level, I mean, the container for all of your artifacts, you can say, or items that you're going to create within Fabric. And I think your capacity, right? So the compute, if you're not aware of capacity at this moment, it is the compute resource or a bundle unit, kind of a bundle unit of compute and kind of a storage you can think of. So that will be tied to the workspace. Okay, and I think workspace is the highest level of container wherein you can create a workspace for any project, and then you can start building items like Lakehouse, Warehouse, or real-time intelligence components under the workspace. So that's how the hierarchy goes. And then under your Lakehouse, you might be having a lot of different tables and the respective folders, that is holding the Parquet files as well, right? And I think the workspace roles, if you think about it, it is going to be a broader access across the Fabric services, right? So that's the highest level you can think of at the security standpoint, right? So you can there are different roles that we can look at in Workspace that we're going to talk about. And I think you can provide users with the required access at the Workspace level if you need the broader level of access, okay, at the Workspace level. And at the item roles, that is scoped only, the scoped access to Lakehouse or a specific item. So the item, we can call it either Lakehouse or warehouse, whatever item that you're creating within your workspace. We have specific roles to share. When you're trying to share your item, you can scope the access, specific to that particular item. And if you want to provide a read all access or read only data, so what are the different permissions we have at the item level, we will also look into it. Okay. And I think going one level deeper, okay, so we talked about workspace, we talked about item, and one level deeper, table level or folder level roles. So that's much granular, right? So and I think the key thing is it is currently read only. The limited future Microsoft is exposing now the data access roles, which is at the fine grain level. You can control, let's say, you have 100 tables in your Lakehouse, and then you want to only expose few of the tables, you can definitely do that. And even within the table, you can control the rows and columns as well. Okay, one level deeper. So that's at a very fine grain level in OneLake Security, which is currently in limited preview. We are going to look at that. So that's a very high level overview of different security layers that you can think of right now at the moment in Fabric. And Microsoft is working hard to implement or get your feedback around the last layer, which is the fine grain layer, which we'll shortly look at. Okay. Okay, let's move on. So before we jump on, okay, so I think after this enough slides, then we will jump on to Fabric and look at different roles, and we will look at the differences between those roles and stuff like that. Okay, so let's talk about workspace permissions, right? So this I already mentioned, it is going to be at the broader level, right, for the organization. So we have different roles like admin, member, contributor, viewer. So there are 4 different roles that you can assign to any user to control your workspace, and it provides almost kind of the access what you're providing to the workspace will be inherited, right? So to all of the items within the workspace. So you have to keep that in mind, and you need to think about if it's really required to provide access at the workspace level. If it is not required, so you have to take a call and then provide access at the different security layers. And I think usually it is used for general governance, and at platform level access we provide at the workspace level. So you have to make sure, I think but we will talk about what those different roles are shortly in a particular table. I think that will provide you a quick overview of different roles and what you can do with that role, right? And I think the key thing is it is not a fine-grained control as we talked about. So you can't control the table level access, RLS, CLS, row level security, and column level security. So it's at the platform level, which we are going to enforce the access. So with that, let me stop the presentation, come back to the Fabric portal. So I hope give me a moment. Okay, I think we have quite a lot of people. Thank you for joining. So let me continue. So let me open the Fabric portal. Enough slides at this moment. Okay, so I think each layer we will quickly have a look at it in the Fabric portal and then come back to the presentation to help you with the conceptual walkthrough and then the hands-on. So here I'm in Fabric portal, okay, my tenant. Okay, so I have this workspace, which is my DP600 course that I built recently. And I think there are quite a lot of artifacts or items that I have that you can already see, right? The reports, models, dashboards, and I have my Lakehouse and stuff like that, pipelines. So what I wanted to show you is, so we are looking at the broader level of access to the workspace. So if I wanted to control access to DP600 codes workspace, if I wanted to share, so all you need to do is, it is pretty straightforward. And on the top right, you can manage access to the workspace and you can add people or groups. So as simple as that, but you need to understand what those different roles are doing. Okay, so that we will talk about it now. So you can So you might have members already in your organization. You can type their name, and you can see 4 different roles are there, like admin, member, contributor, and viewer. So what those 4 roles are doing? I think some of the roles, uh, you know, it is uh, it is self-understood, but I know. Let me open this table for you. So this will be helping you to kind of understand what those different roles are doing. So I think admin at the top level, they can do all of the operations within the workspace, right? But the key thing to understand here is I'm not going to take you through every feature capability and then tell you, but I'll highlight few key things, right? So as a uh, member can add other members as well. No, but the contributor cannot, right? So you might have a question, what's the difference between member and contributor? Because you can see here, I think a member user with member role can add other members to the workspace, but the contributor cannot do that. They can only contribute to the workspace by creating some items, and they can modify some items. Those level of operations they can do it, but member have few additional privileges that you can see here. They can add members and others with lower permissions, and also they can allow others to reshare items, right? Otherwise, I think you can see most of the features are kind of in line with contributor for member as well, right? Uh, I think that's one of the key thing to understand. So if you really need a member role for your user in your organization, otherwise if you need a contributor role, so you have to take a call accordingly, which role is suitable for the user. Okay, but I think yeah. So contributor and viewer, I think viewer have very least privilege to kind of view and read the content of data pipelines or notebooks or Spark job definitions, ML models, and so on. I think the one key thing which you need to understand here, so this is the one which I wanted to highlight. So have a look at these 2 capabilities. So I think viewer can read Lakehouse and data warehouse data only through the SQL Analytics endpoint. Okay, so with T-SQL through the SQL Analytics endpoint. So when I say SQL Analytics endpoint, when you create a Lakehouse in Fabric, the SQL Analytics endpoint will be automatically created for you. Okay, so you'll not manually create it, it will be automatically created for you. So why Microsoft is doing that? Because you can run some T-SQL queries on top of your Lakehouse data and then start doing some analysis right away. Okay, so with T-SQL experience. That's the whole idea. And I think they're exposing, you can read the data only through the SQL Analytics endpoint with the viewer role, but you cannot read the data through the OneLake APIs and Spark. So this is one of the critical thing to understand, because this is one of the question in DP600, I'm telling you. Okay, so you can expect this question definitely in DP600 exam or DP700 exam. Okay, so viewer user with the viewer role, they cannot read the Lakehouse or data warehouse data and shortcuts through OneLake API and Spark engine. So which is like a read all role at the item level. It is viewer role is applicable only to read data. So which means like they can read the data only through the SQL Analytics endpoint. Okay, so that's one of the key thing you need to understand. Okay, otherwise, if it says read the data through Spark, the question might be, whether viewer can do it. No, they cannot do it. Okay, so that you need to understand. And I think viewer can still connect to, as I mentioned, SQL Analytics endpoint and then read the data. And then they can view and read the content of the KQL database. If you're not aware, that is when you kind of create the event house for your real-time use cases, and KQL database and will be created for you. Okay. And I think that's for real-time use cases. Okay, we will jump more onto it in another session. But I think you can. I'll share this link probably in the chat. I know you can go through all of the capabilities, and even you can see viewer can look at the execution output of the ML models, experiments, and notebooks and stuff like that. Right. So I think I can drop this link in the chat. You can go through that, all of the capabilities individually when possible. Okay. So let me drop that in the chat. That will take you to the workspace roles directly. Okay. So let me come back. So that's workspace roles for you. At a broader level, you can enforce at the broader level, right? So only when it is required. So you have to be very careful in providing even if you have decided you need to provide this broader level of access to the user in your organization, just make sure you're providing the required role as well, as we talked about. So you have to assess the role capabilities and then provide the required permissions to the user. Okay. Well, I hope that's clear at the workspace level. Okay, so that's easy to provide access, but you have to do some groundwork and make sure you're providing the required privileges to the user. Okay, so if it is really required, provide at the workspace level. That provides complete access, as I mentioned, based on the role. Otherwise, you need to go one level deeper, which is at the item level that we are going to talk about now. So let me go back to presentation quickly, and then we'll come back to Fabric again. So we'll jump back and forth. So that's workspace permissions. So let me move on. So, okay, let's now talk about item level access. So what are the different permissions you can control at the item level, be it warehouse or lakehouse. Okay, now we are going one level deeper, right? So I think we have three different permissions. I will show you at the item level. We have viewer, which is very limited. Then we have read all. I think we just looked at the workspace roles that we have seen, read all and read data, right? So read all will include access to all of the metadata and schema as well. And I think, they can even connect through OneLake APIs or Spark APIs to talk to the data. It is possible. But read data role, they can connect to the Lakehouse data or warehouse data only to Lakehouse data only through the SQL Analytics endpoint. Okay, so that you need to understand between read all and read data. What is the difference? That's crucial to understand. And I think this is at the item level. As you know by now, as we talked about in overview, it is not at the folder level or file level or table level. So at the item level, that provides complete access to that item, okay, based on the role. So again, let me jump back to Fabric Portal to give you a flavor of how we can do that. So let me open my COVID Lakehouse. So because this project was built purely based on COVID data, and I have quite a lot of tables in my medallion architecture pattern. Okay, so that we already built. And okay, so how we can enforce at the item level. So on the top right, you can see the share icon, share button, right? Just click on that. And there you go. So you can provide or share this item to any of your user in your organization. Okay, at the item level, we are going to specifically share this Lakehouse, okay, and then provide the required permissions. So here you can see read all SQL endpoint data. What will that do? It access to all of the Lakehouse data using the SQL Analytics endpoint only, okay? You cannot talk to the data through Spark APIs or OneLake APIs. It won't allow you to do that if you provide this kind of a permission. And what does this role do? It provides access to, you can read all of the data using Spark APIs, and you can even subscribe to events, and you can almost do all of the, basically provide you the underlying data files access with Apache Spark. So you can think in that way, right? So Microsoft is providing that tooltip also for you. And I think the third one is the building the reports on the default semantic model. So that's a separate permission also that Microsoft is providing. So I think you can also notify the user who you're sharing with, and you can also optionally add a message. So this is at the item level, which is very straightforward, but again, you have to make sure you're providing the required level of access. So if you don't want to expose the underlying files, you don't want to do this role, right? You don't want to provide this particular role. I don't want to do that. So if I want the user, let's say, I want one of the users to do some analysis by through the SQL Analytics endpoint. He's a SQL guy. He need to write some T-SQL queries and run some queries and extract the data and do some analysis on top of it. This role will do, right? So I don't want to provide this role. So it is quite crucial. Microsoft is helping you to navigate these very easily, as you can see here. It's just a click of a button, you can share the item, but you have to be very careful in defining the roles. And that's why I'm putting together all of this slide decks for you to help you to understand. Please make that right decision at the enterprise level, because security, we can think of any solution that we are building keeping in mind the security first architecture. Okay, so that we need to be keeping in mind. Okay, so that's at the item level. Okay, so you can notify the recipient, and then the Lakehouse will be shared with an email. They can click on, they can come to the tenant, and then they can look at the shared items as well. Okay, so once you share the Lakehouse, if I share this particular COVID Lakehouse, the user can see almost all of the tables right within this particular Lakehouse, what I have, right from bronze, gold, silver, and I have a few dimensions as well, and my data and other tables, even shortcuts as well. Okay. Um, so I think that's at the item level. So I think now the third layer, we'll quickly talk about the third layer. I think that's quite important, I would say. So let me come back to presentation. Right. So we looked at two different layers, one the broader level workspace and one level deeper, the item level. Now let's look at the data access roles, which is in limited preview. I think most of you may not be able to see this feature, but I know even I cannot see RLS and CLS at the moment. I need to write a form to Microsoft. Even I can share the form link also. If you're really interested in, you can raise a request to Microsoft and get it in your tenant as well, in your Fabric trial. Okay. But I think we will try and understand what that is. It's much like a RBAC in Azure, right? So role-based access control, but they're bringing this capability right within Fabric to help you to enforce all of this right within the Lakehouse. Okay. So data access roles, we will define this within the Lakehouse settings within Fabric portal. You don't want to move out of the platform. Okay, you can do it right within it. And I think the roles can be assigned to, much like an RBAC role, you can assign it to users, groups, you can do that. And the critical thing to understand is no write supported. It is only read only. Okay, so if you're providing any, if you're creating any role and providing the required access from within the Lakehouse, it is only read only. Okay, so no write supported. That's critical to understand. Maybe in the future, Microsoft may be probably providing more capabilities to it, but at the moment they are having it in limited preview. They want you to experiment this feature. Okay, so we are doing a live demo on this limited feature. Okay, so and also it allows you to enforce the permissions at the folder table level. You can control the access, and I think users see only what they are assigned as well. Okay, so I think we can go back to, okay, before we compare, let me jump onto Fabric portal. Okay, so okay, so how we can navigate to data access roles. So I think, you can see I'm within the Lakehouse. And I think there are some preview features you can see, like manage materialized lake, who I think in one of the other opportunity we can talk about it. But I think click on the three dots under management. You can open a notebook, and there you can see a preview feature, which is manage OneLake data access. Just click on that. Okay, so you may not be able to see that, but I think if you're not able to see that, I will share this link, okay, that Microsoft already provided in their documentation. Give me a moment. Let me cross-check that link. So I will, yeah. So OneLake Security is currently in limited preview. To request to join the preview and access all of the features, you have to fill out this form. So I will drop this in the chat. Okay, so in case if you're not able to see this feature, what I'm showing you right now, you can open any of your Lakehouse, whatever you have, just click those three dots under management and see if you're able to see this manage OneLake data access. And that will open up a OneLake security for a fine-grained access control. Okay, so let me drop this in chat in case if you're not able to see, you can, I think quite a lot of items you need to fill. Okay. You have to put in your tenant information, then capacity. I think they're providing all the instructions. If you want to experiment this, you can definitely raise a request to Microsoft. Okay, and then they will provide you the required access. So let me just drop it in chat. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So let me come back to the data access role. Okay. So I think I have a couple of roles already created. Okay, so I think the key thing is to understand is I think if you're opening this up for the very first time, okay, so that is one key thing to understand. By default, there will be a default reader role that will be available. Okay, so let me show that to you. Give me a minute. So I want to show you that distinction. Yeah. So we talked about item permissions, right? So I hope you're clear with item permissions at this moment. Okay, read data, read all and all, right? So imagine for the item you're providing read all to one of the user, right? And they can whether they can see the data in OneLake, they can do it, but there is a statement from Microsoft. What is that? See, this read all at the item level is not applicable to items with OneLake security or data access roles enabled. What does that mean? The third layer at the fine grain, what we are talking about, in case there will be a default reader role. Okay, so only when the default reader role is in use, and when you're assigning read all at the item level, okay, then I think it will be applicable to the user. Otherwise, imagine you are providing a read all to a particular user, and then you're going one level deeper, and then you have deleted this default reader role and you have created some custom roles. Imagine, okay. So what happens in that case? User will not be able to read all of the data because we are trying to enforce one level deeper. Okay, so that's what Microsoft is making a statement here. If the default role is edited or deleted, access is instead granted based on what data access roles the user is part of, right? So that you have to be clear. I think the same user, if they have read all at the item level, and in case if you're providing a fine-grained access to that user as well, the fine-grained access will take effect. Simple. Okay, so that you need to understand. So that's what Microsoft is making a statement here. When you have a read all at the item level, it is not applicable. If you have the data access role enabled, if the preview is enabled, read all only grant access if the default reader role is in use. So that's one of the point I wanted to highlight because that's critical to understand. Okay, so if you're providing at the item level as well as at the role level. Okay, so I have already deleted that role. If you're opening up for the very first time, you should be able to see default reader role that Microsoft mentioned. So it will be there. Okay, so for the very first time. Okay, so maybe I think I can probably open some other Lakehouse and show it to you if possible in another workspace. Give me a moment. Let me go to my stock market real-time analytics course and let me go open my stock Lakehouse. Okay, let me open the same capability here and see what happens. You're about to turn on. Okay, so it's asking me to turn on this preview feature. Okay, continue. Okay, there you can see, right? So this is what I was talking about. So when you're opening this capability for the very first time, you should see this default reader role. And I think you can always go ahead and delete it. Okay, so I already deleted in my COVID Lakehouse. But I think there is a note again, provides users with read all item permissions, access to all data. You can delete this role and create custom ones if you want. Okay, so that's one of the uh, highlighted point which I wanted to tell you. Coming back to COVID Lakehouse. Well, let me open that feature again. Just give me a moment. Let me drink some water. Just allow me a minute. Okay, perfect. All right, so I think here I have deleted the default reader role and a couple of custom roles I have created. Right? So you can always go ahead and create a role, and I'm going to show you the existing roles, and the permissions will always be read only, as I mentioned in the deck, right? So you cannot gain control to write to the Lakehouse. It is at the moment it is only read only. Okay, so that you can check it. So let me click on new and show you how the experience looks like. You can create a custom role and kind of add data to your role. You can add all of your data. You can add selected data. You can do that. So you can create test fabric role, and it's something you can add all of the data or a specific data. So if I select selected data, you can go ahead and browse your Lakehouse and it opens up files and tables for you, right? So let's say, I wanted to only expose only few of the tables for this role. Let's say the gold final aggregated table, KPI table, let's say that, and maybe we can say test fabric gold or something like that. I don't think it accepts underscore. Okay, and selected it. Oh, sorry. Let me select again. COVID gold aggregator, then add your data to the role. That's the first step you need to do. And then you can add members to your role or groups, to your role as well. And if you have a role preview as well, what you're exposing in this custom role. And I think if you click on the DBO schema, you can see only I'm exposing the COVID gold table, the final aggregator table, and members preview is also there. So this Microsoft is providing you right within Fabric this capability to create the role and then add your data and then add members to your role as well. Okay, so that's how it is goes, and you can go ahead and create your role. As simple as that. It's created, with the read permissions. And also once it is created, okay, sorry. Once it is created, you can definitely go ahead and configure it again. So it is possible. When I click on the role, you can see the data that we are exposing within the role, okay, which is read only, and then the members in the role as well. You can start adding members or groups to this particular role. So I think it's more like a RBAC kind of a setting. Okay, so even in Power BI or even your analytical models, you will create a role and then you will add required members to that role and expose your data, right? In a similar kind of fashion, the role-based access control, Microsoft is providing this capability right within the Lakehouse experience at the item level. Okay, so and I think if I go back to some of the other roles that we have already created. Okay, so I think we are now controlling at the table level, right? So I'm going to assign some members to this role. Let's say the role that we have created just now, right? The test fabric goal. So let's say I wanted to only expose this goal layer to some of the members. So this is at the fine grain level, at the table level. We are restricting all of the other tables to that particular user, right? And I think talking about CLS and RLS, the column level security and row level security, right? So that is one level deeper. We are going at a fine grain level, right? So, but I think even I don't have access to that feature at the moment, but I can quickly show you probably in the documentation. I think here in OneLake Security, like security features, row level and column level security, which is a limited preview. Again, there is a brief note from Microsoft. Okay, so even I'm not able to see that feature, but I'll show you probably in the documentation where you can see that exactly. Okay, so I think once you define the role, you are adding data to the role. And I think a few of the tables, if you're exposing, you can simply click on that table and then you can enforce at the row level as well as column level. I think it's simple. Okay, but let me check if I'm able to see that. No, I don't think it's exposed for me. So here I'm within the role that we have just created, okay, to expose one of the table. And there are these three dots, which you are not, I think they still need to work on UI, I believe, because if the table name is a bit lengthy, that three dots, I'm not able to see that clearly, right? So if I click on that, so you can see, if I select this, okay, so I don't know why it is disabled for some reason. But we can only remove, so you can see if I hover over, I think something is happening. Okay, so you can only remove the role. I think it should be remove the table. Okay, so remove from role. Okay, removing this table from the role. But I think I'm not able to see the CLS and RLS capabilities at the moment. So even I think I'm planning to fill up this early access forms to expose those features as well for me so that I can experiment and produce some videos around that to help you guys. Okay, but at the moment, at this point in time, I'm not able to see the RLS and CLS features for a table, even at any role that I have for this particular lakehouse. Even the test role, I have few tables exposed. So here I have quite a few tables, but let me see. No, I can only remove the tables from the role, but I cannot go one level deeper to control the row level security and column level security for this particular table. But that is at a very fine grain level. Again, you can definitely enforce once the feature is out for public preview and then GA, general access. Okay, so I think we need to wait for that feature to be live. Okay, so right now it is in very limited preview, but I think we are very much ahead of time. Okay, so looking at this feature, talking about this feature, but this is quite crucial, because you need to put a control around all of your tables and at the row level, column level, that earlier would be possible only at the Power BI level or at the model level. Now you can do it right within the Lakehouse experience, which is great from Microsoft, I would say. Okay. Okay, so that's about it. I think this is the feature I wanted to talk about at the fine grain level. Okay, so let us come back to presentation and then we'll talk about few of the differences or comparison part because I have already shown you three different layers: the workspace item level as well as the OneLake data access, which is in preview. You can create custom roles and then add your data, all of your data, selected data, right? And then add members to it as well. Okay. So let me come back to the presentation quickly before we wrap up and then move on to QA. Okay. So let me just present this. I think quick comparison. See the Fabric at the workspace level. So what we are saying, Fabric and OneLake is Fabric, the workspace level. It is Square's workspace level control. At the broader level, we talked about it. And OneLake feature, which is in limited preview, it's at the granular folder level table access that you can control. And data access roles are independent of workspace roles, right? So that you have to be aware. And I think if you're creating some shortcuts, we are not going to dive deep in this session about shortcuts, but shortcuts actually, if you're creating within your Lakehouse, it inherits the source or underlying folder security. Okay, so target here means like the source underlying folder security that you are creating shortcut. Okay, and I think as we talked about, it is at the moment read-only permissions and OneLake roles. Okay, whatever role that you're creating within the Lakehouse. Okay, so let's quickly move on. I think we talked about RLS and CLS. It is now part of the OneLake Security Preview. It is not limited to Power BI anymore. You can definitely do it in OneLake Security, and it applied directly on Lakehouse tables, independent of semantic models, right? And RLS filters rows based on user group conditions that you may be already aware. I talked about a particular use case. If you need to do regional level restrictions, you can enforce RLS. And CLS hides sensitive columns from unauthorized users, right? So column level security, right? So I think you can define all of those through the OneLake security blade that we have just seen in the Lakehouse item, okay? And I think it works in conjunction with data access roles to enforce both object level and data level security. So that you need to keep in mind, okay? So yeah, I think we are at the end of the session, I would say, before we move on to Q&A. So the security strategy, a quick summary, what we have looked at. So at the workspace level, it is at the very high level governance. You can say that broad level of access, and the item roles are at the Lakehouse level or warehouse level that you can control the access. Data access roles, which is in limited preview, the visibility that you can control at the folder or table level, okay, that you can always do that. And RLS and CLS, it's at the very, very fine grain level, which you can control the access to any specific table if you want to hide the columns or rows, okay. And I think in an enterprise setting, if you ask me, I would kind of do the required assessment to see how security fits in for a particular organization, and then you need to probably have a mix of all of these layers, right? So it is not necessarily or a thumb rule you need to enforce any one of the security layer, right? So you have to combine probably all of the layers for robust governance as well. Okay, so that you need to be aware as well. Yeah. Okay, so okay, before we jump on to QA, I think I'm done with the content. Maybe if you have any questions, you can start dropping in the chat. Okay, so I can take some questions. So before I answer some of your questions, so I wanted to offer you a membership program that we have in Datavion Academy. So if you need sessions like this every week, so I know we used to come live. Okay, so we have just started this program. So every Saturday, let's say, in the evening or in the morning, based on your availability. Okay, so definitely we will have weekly deep dives like this on Fabric topics. So there are a couple of tiers we have created with 14 days trial. You can, there are no strings attached to it. You can cancel at any time. Okay, so there are a couple of tiers we have, like basic tier and pro tier. Okay, and for a monthly and yearly, you have some discounts. And let me quickly go through what are the kind of value that we are going to give you or provide you in the basic and pro tier. Then I think I can come to your questions and then answer your questions, right? So I think you will have access to all of the 3 course bundle at the moment. Right now, we have 3 end-to-end courses in the platform on the finance domain, stock market, real-time analytics, where we dive deep into the real-time capabilities in Fabric, okay, the event stream, event house, and capabilities like that to bring in the stock market real-time data end-to-end, okay. And then we have this COVID course, and then we also have healthcare operational analytics end-to-end course. So you'll have lifetime access to that, okay, and weekly inner circle calls focused on specific topics like this, what we have looked at today. Okay, and you can also participate in the community polls. You can tell me what content you want me to produce, or during the live session what you want me to take through, so that I can do the required groundwork and then help you to understand and dive deep into it every week. Okay, so that you can vote on the community the topics itself and the common base support as well. And along with that, if you need, let's say we have recently launched the Datavion's AI tutor, Clara, for instant learning support. So we have currently trained it with one of the course, stock market real-time analytics. Okay, so it's like a ChatGPT style RAG tutor. So wherein you can ask any questions, during your learning journey in that particular course, and it is ready to answer, almost instantly. So you don't need any human support during your learning. So that we have already currently in pilot launch. A few students were already exploring this capability. So you will have exclusive access to that in Pro tier. And all of the downloadable resources will be shared with you. That is not possible in the basic tier, okay? And you'll have exclusive private community access as well, and priority access to new features as well, okay? So I will drop the checkout links in the chat if you're interested, and it is 14 days trial, as I mentioned, no strings attached. You can subscribe, and then you can attend a couple of sessions like this, and if no value delivered, you can feel free to cancel as well. Okay, so but definitely I promise you will gain a lot of value out of these 2 tiers if you want to choose monthly or yearly. But I promise it is going to be a kind of impactful journey for you to learn. Specifically, we are diving deep into Fabric. Okay, so we have built courses around Fabric, and even you can check my YouTube channel, and there are a lot of videos I have posted in OneLake series as well. But if you need kind of a tutor support and downloadable resources, then you need to kind of go for membership tier at the pro level as well. Okay, so. And I think a few testimonials from few of my students across the world that you can see. So they found it really helpful, and I hope it will be helpful to you as well, because the core idea is to help you guys to have that kind of hands-on, not only the conceptual walkthrough as we did today in today's session, to gain that kind of a confidence to kind of tackle the projects or take up the Fabric projects. Okay. So that's the whole idea. So let me jump on to the chat. If you have any questions, I'm ready to answer those. So any questions, feel free to drop it. I can see a few people are there. You can start typing your questions, related to specifically OneLake security that we talked about. Any role level questions you can definitely ask. And if you want me to, cover any of the future topics, feel free to drop a note on that as well, and I'm ready to take those and probably work on those as well. So over to you guys. We will open this Q&A for probably let's say 5 minutes, depending upon the questions. I can see a few people left, so that's fine. I think you can drop your questions. And I think before that, just start typing in your questions. Let me share the membership options link to you. Okay, so you can feel free to check out those. I mean, whatever plan that suits you, either monthly or yearly, no strings attached, as I mentioned. And I think you can. I think the yearly plans comes at a discount, and you can definitely check that out. And I think you will gain a lot of value out of it. Okay, so let me share those. You can check out. I think all 4 checkout URLs I have provided, and I think I've mentioned about the discounts. And I think if you go for basic yearly and pro yearly, I think I'm providing 25% discount. You can see the coupon code is attached, basic Fabric 25 and pro Fabric 25. I think for monthly plan, there are no discounts at the moment. But if you want to go for a yearly, I think, It's a long-term commitment with 14 days trial. You will have 25% off. But I think you no need to pay upfront anything. Only, it is 14 days trial. You can experience all of the courses in the platform. You can attend these kind of a live sessions, demo sessions. And I think after 14 days, you will be charged, okay, for if it's yearly or monthly. And you can cancel like, much like other subscriptions, you can cancel it anytime if you want. But I promise you, you're going to get a lot of value out of it. Okay, and this money is nothing, I'm telling you. So yeah, so hope to produce a lot of such content for you guys. So any questions in today's content? I'm happy to take those. If you have any questions on these topics, the three different security layers we talked about. I'll open the floor, you guys. If there are no questions, I think great. If there are questions, please feel free to drop in the chat. I can take up those. So no, nothing yet. Okay. Okay, there is a question from Adolfo. OneLake Security covers security simultaneously in every item of Fabric. OneLake Security covers security simultaneously in every item of Fabric. See, I think, yeah. So see, it is at the item level, right? So when I say item level, we have some of the permissions at the item level, and then we are going one level deeper into the item level, right? So if you have Lakehouse or warehouse or different items, so it is still scoped to the OneLake security data access roles is scoped to only that particular item. So in my case, we explored COVID Lakehouse. So whatever custom roles that you're going to create in your OneLake security, that applies only to that particular Lakehouse. Okay, so that is within the scope of that Lakehouse. So, and I think it is not tied in any way to any other item, right? This is at the item level. We are creating custom roles and then enforcing the required permissions at the table level, then RLS and CLS. So to your question, yeah, you can enforce. I know it is scope to item level, so you can it covers security, yeah, at the item level. So I hope that answers your question. So even in warehouse, you can go ahead and explore the data access roles and create custom roles and enforce that particular role to different users. So you need to think of it as at the item level, we are scoping this particular OneLake security data access roles, because it is not like we are moving out of the Lakehouse experience, right? So we are right within the Lakehouse experience, right? So and then we are going into management and then opening up the data access preview. It is this manage OneLake data access. This is not for the entire OneLake. Okay, so you have to be very careful. And I think that's a good question, that you ask, Adolf. So it's scoped to only this particular Lakehouse, that I'm controlling. Okay, so you have to be very much aware about it. So if I wanted to control, let's say, a stock Lakehouse, then I need to probably define the required custom roles for this particular Lakehouse and then provide the required access to the users. Okay, so that's how it goes. Perfect. And thanks for that question. Yeah, Adolfo, thank you for that. No problem. Yeah, it's my job to answer. And any other questions, Adolfo or Kamali? You're there, and I don't know, Fireflies.ai. Oh, that's a different name. Okay. So is it Kamali joined in two different? Okay, I don't know, but that's fine. Yeah. Any other questions? Please feel free to drop. Otherwise, I think, yeah, we can wrap up the session. So I think in the next week, probably, we will cover, probably the integration part between Lakehouse and Warehouse. So that I've already produced a video in my channel, so you can go through that. Okay, so I hope you have access to my channel. I hope so. Otherwise, I can share it in the chat here, so you can go through my videos if that helps you to gain more understanding on the Fabric topics, right? But I think the plan is to produce weekly, going live weekly to help you guys to gain more understanding or deeper understanding on the topics like what we have looked at today. Okay, so that's the whole idea. Okay. Okay, so any more questions? feel free to ask. Otherwise, we are good. We are almost on time. Okay, we can wrap up the session. So I think go through the plans again. Okay, so definitely, you can explore the 14-day trial and gain access to all of the resources in the platform. And I think you will gain access to the weekly recordings as well. Okay, so I'll probably see you in the next opportunity. Okay. Okay, so if there are no more questions, I think we are good to wrap up this session. And we'll see you in another session. And have a good weekend, guys. Okay, take care.